You're watching Market Cafe on etnow. Let's look at what the U.S. markets did last night and mixed numbers, like you could say, in terms of the closing that came in. NASDAQ managed to close at record high levels, but Dow Jones was a bit subdued in trade, and S&P 500 just mildish in terms of the gain that we are seeing. Now, let's not forget that, Dow Jones was at record high. Gold saw a sharp jump, in terms of overall the prices. And what was it that was there was that investors weighed in terms of the statements that came in from the Fed side. A lot of Fed commentary that came in from Federal Reserve, different presidents. And that was something in terms of against the evidence that US is, in terms of the inflation in the US is cooling off. Now, what led to NASDAQ's rally was Nvidia. Now, that saw a sharp jump up ahead of, what everyone was watching out for is in terms of the earnings report, and Nvidia was up almost a couple of percentages. That was an AI company which was seeing a sharp jump, and Nvidia has been a stock which has seen a lot of run-up in the recent time as well. S&P 500, on the other hand, saw a slight bit of a modest gain, while in terms of the blue chip Dow, that actually closed below that 40,000 mark, and that is what we were seeing, that these levels are coming in after below the 40,000 mark for the first time since the last few trading sessions. Let's not forget that overall, Nvidia is something that everyone is keeping an eye out on in terms of numbers from the global markets. We're keeping an eye out on the FOMC minutes, as well as a lot of commentary that has already started pouring in terms of the US inflation cooling off, and that is why a bit of a mixed closing that we saw for the US market, Shreyansi. But gold, that was interesting in trade as well.
Absolutely, a good high coming in for gold yet again. But let's also take a look at crude oil futures as well and what happened with crude as well, because crude oil futures fell as traders monitored developments in Iran after the Islamic Republic's president and foreign minister died in a helicopter crash. President Ibrahim Raisi and foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian also perished in the crash in Iran's East Azerbaijan province in poor weather. So when you look at price levels, then when you're looking at WTI, you're looking at gains coming in of about 0.3% thereabout. Year to date, the contract is up about 11.3%. Similar moves coming in on a daily basis for Brent as well, down about 0.3% thereabout. Year to date, the global benchmark is up 8.6% though. And policy in OPEC's third largest producer is not expected to change, with Vice President Mohammad Mokbar taking over as interim president as the country prepares for new elections within 50 days. Now, in Saudi Arabia, then, OPEC's largest producer, King Salman, is undergoing treatment for a lung infection. So these are all factors that the market is looking at. Now, when you look at US crude oil and Brent in terms of the trend, then they booked modest gains last week, but remain stuck in a narrow range as traders look for a catalyst that could lift prices out of the doldrums. And OPEC and its allies, led by Russia, will hold a meeting on June 1st to review production policy. So let's see if that gets prices out of that narrow range that they've been stuck in. A coalition of OPEC Plus members are voluntarily cutting output by 2.2 million barrels per day to support prices. But speaking of gold prices then, gold prices rose to an all-time high, like I said earlier, as a cocktail of factors from US rate cut expectations, China's stimulus measures to geopolitical tensions lifted demand, with the momentum also carrying silver to a more than 11-year peak. So good moves coming in for gold and silver. When you look at spot gold, rose about 0.9% to 2,435 per ounce after hitting a record high earlier in the session as well. So those are the kind of moves that we saw for gold. But when you're looking at Asian markets, quite the mixed move coming in there, right?
Yes, pretty much mixed.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.